Okay, so we're continuing to add more detail into this and to see if we can't finish this up. So this is sort of where we've gotten to. We've got a lot of our basic lines in, and what I want to do is get to a point where I can start to draw some things with graphite so that I can kind of get my head straight about what I'm drawing and what I'm not drawing. And we can see some of the space come together. I'm going to finish up by putting some more of the bench details in. I need to draw some lines down here and get those to come up. I know the benches come in. If I come off of my plan, I can measure that. This is at 1/8 inch, right? So that comes in about 10 inches. The overall bench comes in about 4.5 feet, and it's 1.5 feet. So if I go 4.5 feet, come back 1.5 feet, and come out about 1 foot, that'll give me those lines. So I measure those down here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.5. But that's actually at 1/2 inch scale. So it comes in, that first line we said was about 10 inches, right? Right there. The overall is about 4.5, about right there. And then it's about 1.5 feet in from there. And you can, this isn't the perfect way to measure it, but it's a way to measure it. And then I can project those lines back. And again, I know these are all going to hit those halfway marks, right? So I can just project these right around. That gives me enough. I can get my points off of that. So now I can project up. So this first point, right, this 10 inch point, I know it comes out sort of flat from this point. So I'm going to first draw the plane, the overall plane of the top of the benches. And it's above our eye level in space, right? So we're looking at this overhead, this plane right here. Don't think of this as a couple of triangles. Think of it as a flat plane. You're sort of trying to think about that in space. I don't think I totally got that line right, did I? And then this, I can again draw that horizontal line through to get that center point of that plane right there. Horizontal, horizontal. These are all these different planes in that space, right? Different planes. So then this next point that comes in here, this comes in 10 inches, is going to be about right there. Then the next point, which is the edge of the bench line, right there. And then the flat part of the bench right there. So to start, what I can do is maybe draw this, in perspective along the side. So I just have to make sure I know what I'm doing. I'm drawing it in this plane, and I want to make sure that I'm projecting the line up at the right point. So it gets a little bit confusing. what I'm going to do to sort of help myself is I'm going to draw these points. I'm just going to draw that little line across. And then I'm going to pull this line up from this point, right along that plane. So this point along this plane is right there. This line I'm going to project back this way. And then I can start to come up where these intersect. So this line is going to be right there. This is going to come in here somewhere. And that's the bottom of the bench right there. Going to be right there somewhere. So the bench height, and some of these other elements we're going to have to do some work to figure out. But first I can project this point back. That gives me that light cove right there. Now I want to figure out the height of this bench, which I know is about 1 foot and 1.5 feet. Vertical dimensions all come from that center line, right? So here's where this 0 line is. I come up 1'4", and this is at that 3/8 scale. 1 foot, 4 inches. And then I'm going to project that line back this way till it intersects with this one. I've lined them up till it intersects right there along this line to get these in the same plane. And then I project that line across. Hello, pugs. I can hear you. And this one comes down. And now I can connect these 2 points. And that gives me the profile of the bench right at this point in the plan, is right where I am. So I've got a good sense of where that bench sits now, and I can start to create a plane that might be the top, the seat of the bench, which again I know is gonna pass right through that middle horizontal line. I've drawn it right at the corner, right? So that line, I know I can draw a horizontal across. So this plane right in here is the base of the front of the bench at the base. So if I wanted to draw the back of it, I can do that the same way. I again know this is in the same plane, right? These are in the same plane. This is a horizontal line. So I can do this. That gives me that line. These get really close together, don't they? And that is going to come up. Just adjusting this line a little bit. So that gives me the back of the bench as it swoops around the space. Top of the bench. It's going to come up from that point. there. It's going to hit there. And then we know that the top of the bench here comes back to this point right here from the plan. It can get very difficult and very tricky to draw these lines because we're so close to the horizon line. You know, this is almost, we're seeing this in space. The width of the pencil is barely even making an impact. The base of the bench going to come across like this. Where it hits is right where the line is at, since we drew it at that edge. We can draw that horizontal line across. So, you know, again, just like when we were drawing this by hand, the lines get really close together, really kind of confusing what's what. But we do have now the basics for being able to fill this in, so which I'm going to do in the next video. I'm going to pause this and upload.